Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the December 13th, 2023 City of Newcastle Community Activities Commission regular monthly meeting. I am filling in for Nathan Sticks this evening, our chair, who is not able to make it this evening. Couple of procedural things. This meeting is being recorded for future viewing on our city YouTube channel. If there are any objections, please voice them now. Seeing no objections, we will continue to record the meeting for its duration. And at this point, we should all stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Forsberg. Here. Commissioner Van Atta.
Present.
Commissioner Lee.
Present.
Commissioner D'Souza.
Present.
Commissioner Krutzinger. How do
Here.
say that for me so I get it correctly?
Krutzinger.
Krutzinger. All right. Vice Chair Flash.
I am here.
Vice Chair Flash. All commissioners accounted for except for Chair Sticks, who is excused this evening.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there anyone here for public comment?
There is not.
It does not look like it. Okay. And I missed an item, so sorry for that. Can we approve the minutes for our October 11th meeting?
I approve the minutes.
And do we have a second? Are there any changes?
I second.
Okay. Commissioner Van Atta put forth a proposal to approve the minutes, and Commissioner Kretzenberg seconded that. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, minutes are approved and part of the record. Commissioner comments. We'll just go down the line. So Commissioner Kretzenberg.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yes.
I do believe we need to approve the agenda.
Oh, thank you. Any changes to the agenda? No changes to the agenda. Okay. Does someone put forth a proposal to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing no objections, we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Okay. Commissioners, celebrations, and comments. We'll go down the line. So, Commissioner Kretzenberg.
All right, I'll start it off. I have a lot. Are you ready? So I have a lot of thank yous. So I'd like to start by saying thank you to Dave and Newcastle Fruit and Produce Stand for all they do for our community to bring joy and festivity. We didn't have a November meeting, so I'd like to say thank you for Boo Castle. It was a lot of fun, if everybody got to go. There were places to take photos. There was trick-or-treating. There was like a tractor hayride type of thing. It was a lot of fun. And then they recently, the weekend after Thanksgiving, put on a wonderful tree lighting ceremony, and they've done a menorah lighting. So they do a lot for the community, and I just want to call that out and say thank you to them. I also want to say thank you to Jim Quigg, because I don't know if you guys know, he has a direct connection to Buddy the Elf. And he uses that connection to get Buddy to come and bring festivity to this community for all kinds of things, from all of these events like the tree lighting and the upcoming Candy Cane Lane, and showed up for our police officers at Battle of the Badges, as did Santa and Mrs. Claus. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Robin and Chris Brown, some members of our community, have that connection to Santa and Mrs. Claus. So they get them to show up at a lot of our festive events here, and I want to thank them for their contribution to all of these festive events in our community as well, particularly because this Friday and Saturday evening from 5 to 8 p.m., Robin and Chris Brown will be hosting Candy Cane Lane in their backyard at their home. If you want to come, there will be hot cocoa, carolers, of course Santa and Mrs. Claus will be there. The address is 11301 Southeast 77th Place, and if you bring a gently used coat, it will go to a family in need and you will be entered to win a prize. And again, thank you to the Browns for always showing up and bringing so much festivity to our community. In that same vein, thanks to Matt and Christina Scally because they consistently show up and donate their time and effort to bring our community closer together. And thanks to Verity Sorensen and the Chamber of Commerce for supporting so many of these events and efforts. Speaking of that, the Diamond Award nominations are open. I will make sure that I get the link for the minutes for this meeting so that if anybody wants to find that in our minutes, they can. They can also find it online if you want to nominate someone who you think does a wonderful job contributing to the community. Please fill out a nomination form and get that in. That's it for all my thank yous. One other interesting thing that has happened since our last meeting is I've met with our historical society and I had the privilege of attending an event at the cemetery where the Speaker Jenkins, and our representative, Ty, came to and took a tour, and there was a really wonderful presentation of all of the history and the work that's been done in the cemetery and that we want to do. And I just want to express my thank you to our representatives for showing up and our historical society for doing such a great job with the cemetery and everything they do for our community. These are important events like this because it has really raised the profile of Newcastle at the state level, and it's been instrumental in bringing a lot of dollars to the city. So I just also want to make sure that that's acknowledged and say thanks. And that closes my very lengthy comments and thank yous.
Thank you very much. All right. Commissioner D'Souza.
I just have one comment that the volunteer appreciation dinner I thought was really successful and it was a lot of fun and I got to meet lots of new people. So I really liked it and I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I thought the trivia is so much fun. I just think it's perfect and I like the little icebreakers with the name tags. I think it was perfect and fun. So thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lee.
Thanks for the reminder about the volunteer appreciation. I thought it was really fun too. It was really nice. It was good to see such a great turnout. The trivia was really fun. I sat with a couple of people that I know, but with some people I'd never met before. So it was fun to interact with them and to see some of my neighbors that I knew would be there and some that I didn't know would be there. But I would also like to comment on Songs of the Season. I attended as a volunteer and it was a lot of fun. I had fun working with the group that I did in the concession stand. And it was also really nice to see lots of families out and lots of students. And I think all three of the school districts that Newcastle, that are included in Newcastle were represented. So it was really nice to see that. And I personally love to see things for the kids, where the kids get to be involved, and I really enjoyed that. And I will say this too, I received a written thank you in the mail. That was a very nice touch.
All right, Commissioner Van Anna.
I'm already on the general business agenda a lot tonight, so yes to everything everybody else already said, and I'm going to close with that.
Yeah, I would mirror what's already been said. I really enjoyed the volunteer event, especially the first time participating and attending. It's really nice to get to have that more one-on-one time with other members of the community, get to know each other outside of the work that we've done volunteering. Also, yeah, it's been really fun being in Newcastle during the holidays for the first time, just to see all the events that are taking place, how the community is getting together, both with organized events and unorganized. I think it's a really special place, and it's been fun to be a part of.
Thank you. So my comments are, first of all, happy holidays to everybody, and to everybody in Newcastle and the community. It's a very special time of the year, and hopefully everybody can have some time to spend with their families and friends and create some joyous memories. It's extremely dark out there, and so I remind the community to please, please, please be careful. Over the last week or so, I've gone out at 5 o'clock and walked my dog, and it is pure darkness. And you can't see a thing, and particularly a couple days ago when it was really foggy. So just a reminder to the community to please slow down when you drive, be very cautious around very dark spots, because there are people walking and exercising out in the outdoors still, even this time of year. So please just be very, very careful. I want to give a shout out to the maintenance team at the City of Newcastle. There have been a couple instances over the last week or so where they have just shined. One, there was a tree down in Lake Martin Park. I took a picture of it one day. I didn't submit it, but then the next day it was gone. So somebody must have noticed that, and they took care of it right away. And then I was talking with one of my neighbors, and they have a little creek behind their house. And with all that intense rain, they said it was flooding or almost overflowing the banks. They called the city. This was, I believe, after hours. The city maintenance crew came out and took care of that, making sure the drains were open and that the water was flowing properly. So they are totally on top of things. Continue to thank them as you notice them around town. They're just doing a fantastic job of keeping Newcastle safe and accessible to everybody. So a huge kudos to them. And then we talk about volunteers, and at the last city council meeting, two of our city council members are leaving and or are ending their time on the council at the end of the year. And I pointed out that those two both started as volunteers on commissions for the city. So I want to stress that the city continues to really honor, we brought up the volunteer event, honor our volunteers. They're an important part of the city. So we should continue to foster that relationship with our volunteers, and ultimately it pays off dividends to the city of Newcastle. So thank you to those two city council members that volunteered for the city and really put in a big effort to make this a better place. Okay. With that said, let's move on to reports. We have, first of all, the Events and Recreation Coordinator report. So, Amy?
Yes. Before I get into my report, want to make sure everyone saw the email from City Manager Pingle about me taking on the basic of communication tasks. It turns out they were unable to find the right fit for the position, so I'm doing the newsletter and maintaining social media and the website. And City Manager Pingle and myself want to assure you that it is not taking away from the hours that have already been allotted for events and recreation. And we are very mindful of the fact that I was hired to do events and recreation. And it's fortunate that I do have a skill set to take on the communications, and there are a lot of overlaps. However, if you do have questions, you are welcome to direct them to City Manager Pingle or myself, and we're happy to address those for you. So that being said, I have written up, because there's a lot of detail, like Christian, I have a lot of thank yous. And because we had a long time between a very early scheduled November meeting that didn't happen due to my sickness, and then now having, a normal time, we had a lot going on between November and today. So let me pass that out to you. And I will also send you a digital copy as well. So I did thank you, Christian, for mentioning Boo Castle, because that probably should have been on there as well. But I started with where I would have left off from my November report. So first I want to give a special thank you to Councilmember Clark. He organized the Veterans Day ceremony that was held here at City Hall on November 11th. It was rainy, but it definitely did not deter the community members who came. There was the national anthem in recognition of the Newcastle veterans, and there was a flag raising ceremony. I also want to recognize Kelly Clark for providing very well received hot beverages and tasty treats for the attendees, as well as providing some really lovely photos that were shared in the community. Our police department came, as well as a number of community members. Thank you to all of you for supporting the volunteer dinner on November 27th. Just by the numbers, we sent out invitations to 140 volunteers, and that list had to be limited because of space at Resonate. So there were more folks that could have been invited. Just so you know, we have a lot more than 140 volunteers. Approximately 90 volunteers and their guests attended. Funny enough, for everybody who RSVP'd and didn't show, there were some people who didn't RSVP and showed. So it's funny how that works out. There were several first-time attendees, as well as others who volunteered for decades. And for a little fun, does anybody want to guess who is our longest standing volunteer?
Lisa Sticks?
No,
No?
it is not the Stixes.
Diane Lewis.
It is. Anyone want to guess how many years?
Oh.
It had to be more than 31, because I think Lisa and Nathan are 30, 31.
Yes,
something like that, so.
Both Lisa and Nathan Sticks are at 30-ish. Diane put 40 plus question mark, meaning she thinks it's over 40, but she's not sure.
City's origins.
Yeah, so very, very fun. Thank you to Chair Sticks and Commissioner Van Atta for emceeing and hosting the program, and to the commissioners who helped with the planning. Thank you to the mayor and the city manager for speaking in recognition of our volunteers who, as noted that evening, contribute hundreds of hours in service to our city. Now, obviously, this is also on the agenda for you to discuss, what went well, what didn't well, lessons learned, things to keep the same, and that's what Commissioner Van Atta has on her agenda item, more the recap or debrief. Okay, so thank you to Newcastle resident and Newcastle elementary teacher Jenny Martin and the Newcastle Arts Council for coordinating Songs of the Season on December 2nd. Second year of the event. Performers from all 3 public school districts serving Newcastle. So it included Newcastle Elementary, Maywood Middle, Tyee Middle, Hazen High, and Liberty High. And if you didn't go, it was a festive afternoon of just wonderful performances by youth. Congrats to the Newcastle Police Department for winning the Holiday Spirit Award at the Battle of the Badges on December 8th. At the Renton Community Center. We apologize if you went and waited in line and did not get in. They are working on a system so that everybody can see it. But what I would like to note is in true Newcastle spirit, this is true Newcastle spirit, they were the only agency of all those who attended who involved the community in the making and presentation of their display. So it included residents at Regency Newcastle and Cub Scout Pack 738 who not only made the decorations, but they also acted as movie characters from the movie Elf. And thank you to those residents with those connections to those characters who came and attended to round out the display. All right. Moving on, despite the weather and the date, the Fall Recycling Collection event this past Saturday was well attended. We had 317 carloads of materials that came through. There was a large amount of recyclable material collected, a total of 36,970 pounds, which is 18.5 tons. That averages out to 166.6 pounds of material per vehicle. Just a couple of highlights from the overall report. The total included 16,555 pounds of appliances, scrap metal and electronic equipment, almost 4,600 household batteries, and over 4,000 pounds of cardboard. This event, just for your own knowledge, is funded through state and county grants. The Lights of Newcastle Outdoor Holiday Display Contest registration closes tomorrow at noon. Official judging and People's Choice voting begins on Friday, December 15th, with the map of displays to be released on social media and in the newsletter. I'll let Allison share more details during the agenda, general business agenda, but that is well underway. And just wanted to put on your calendar, this is another city partnered event, is saving the date of February 4th for the Lunar New Year celebration at Risdon Middle School from 1 to 5 p.m. The city is working with Newcastle Arts Council and Newcastle Library in planning this event, which is estimated to be at least 600 attendees, which is why we had to move it to Risdon. Volunteers will be needed for setup from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. during the event, and for breakdown from 5 to 6 p.m. All right, hang in there. So I know you have this in front of you, but I also want to read it for the record. So programming, my reports from programming. I recently met with Vicki Heck over at the library to discuss joint programming in partnership with the City of Newcastle. The 3 areas of focus we discussed for 2024 include a teen and adult volunteer fair, which we have set the date for of March 9th. We are in discussions to do a Citizens Academy and also emergency preparedness programming in the fall. And then as far as volunteer programming, a reminder that I'm working on trying to figure out how to revive our Lakeborn Fuchsia Garden. All of our local contacts have seemed to dry up. So if you know anybody who knows anything about fuchsias, I would love to meet and talk with them about what's involved in maintaining them. Parks and Trails planner De La Cruz was unable to be here, but he did send to me and to Chair Sticks and Vice Chair Flash a copy of his Q4 capital updates report, which I will forward to you. But it gives an update as to what's going on with the Boardwalk project, as well as some trails projects. There was a bench installed by one of our Eagle Scouts. And talks about the what's all the cemetery cleanup happening with the Newcastle Historical Society. So I will forward that to you after the meeting so that you can see his report about all of what's happening with all of our capital projects. And just also on your radar, I am updating the volunteer pages on the city website with just freshening up the information, making it more accurate, getting more photos, and the idea is hopefully I can start sending out a monthly volunteer newsletter. And that is it. Questions?
A lot of great stuff going on, so thank you for that. This community is active, and that's wonderful. Okay, we are on to community groups. And Commissioner Forsberg, do you have anything to report?
I have it on my phone. Okay, so the Friends of Newcastle Library is done with activities for the rest of the year, but they are participating in the Lunar New Year in February that Amy just mentioned. So again, mark your calendars for the 4th of February. Between now and the end of the year, there are quite a few events at the library itself, but I'll highlight just a couple of holiday-focused ones. So they have a recurring event called Ukulele Jam, which will be a holiday edition on Saturday, December 16th from 1 to 2. And then there are Dickens Carolers on Saturday, December 23rd from 2 to 2:45, both of those at the Newcastle Library. But for a full list of events, I'll send those out and we can add them in the notes.
Perfect. Commissioner Van Hetta.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Lee.
Nothing to report with regard to trails.
Okay. I did run into Peggy this afternoon walking, and she was laying out a trail in the cemetery. They're changing the entrance to the cemetery to along the trail that runs on the north side. And she had little flags that were stuck in the ground where they're putting an ADA appropriate trail up.
Do
To
you
the top
know
of the cemetery?
if any of that has anything to do with the power line restructure? And maybe some access is being made from that? Maybe not.
I do not.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's kind of curious. I mean, it's not curious, it's good curious. Because I see in Olympus that they've pretty much finished except for fine tuning some of the trails areas. So it would be interesting if they were able to nudge in anything there. That would be good.
Yeah. No, I do not know the answer to that.
I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about, but Davi included in his report, P012 is the cemetery fence replacement project. And he did mention a utility pole at the cemetery had to be relocated to provide enough room for the upcoming fence installation, which is aiming for a completion date by the fence being completed by summer 2024. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
now that I visualize it, the cemetery is probably a little bit far down from the trail.
Yeah.
So, but wouldn't that have been cool if they could have snagged something from PSE?
Yeah. All right, Commissioner D'Souza.
I don't have any YMCA updates right now.
Okay. And Commissioner Kretzinger.
Jumped the gun and already gave you all my updates and my comments.
Okay, that's what I figured.
But just a reminder that the Diamond Award nominations are open with the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, and I will give an Arts Council update. Some of the things that have already been mentioned are, well, first of all, past events, Songs of the Season, we estimate that there were about 700, 800 people there. So just a wonderful community event, and again, as has been pointed out, it was wonderful to see all the kids participating and creating music, and there were bands and choirs and of all different types of music that were sung, so just a wonderful event. We did do a holiday card making event at the library this last weekend. There were 68 people that participated. So some people in our community are going to get wonderful cards for the holidays. There was a lot of creativity going on, so that was wonderful. Dickens carolers were mentioned. Lunar New Year is mentioned. We're working really, really hard on that activity. We have in February a creative writing workshop, which is a series of 5 different Saturdays where we're going to be, actually 4 different Saturdays where we're going to be having different aspects of writing and then publishing. So if anybody is interested in writing or publishing their own works, this would be a great experience for that. And then we're right now accepting applications for our youth art exhibition, which happens in March. So this will be our, I think, 6th year that we've done this. Very well attended. We have usually about 30 to 40 students within the community that submit art that goes on display at the library for the month of March. So, and then we'll do an opening night on February 27th. And then just want to let everybody know that we took down the recycling mural at Lake Bourne Park. It was falling apart and was unsafe, so we removed it. We're planning on hopefully replacing that with something in the works, so be on the lookout for that. And then keep in mind that we have our little art gallery, free little art gallery that's here at City Hall. Stuff is changing daily, so feel free to go take something, leave something, just enjoy the art. If you see something you like, feel free to grab it. And again, people are bringing new things in all the time. So that is it with the Newcastle Arts Council. Okay, on to general business. The first item is the volunteer recognition event. So I'm going to hand it off to Commissioner Van Hetta.
Okay. And I'm going to, think Amy encapsulated it very nicely, just in terms of the statistics, and y'all were there. So I would look forward to your reflections. I've done this for a while and it's kind of held the same structure. So, anything, especially for people who are new, that was a hit, things that were a miss, anything that you think, gosh, we're putting more effort into that than we're getting back, or we should do more of this next time, whatever your thoughts are. I'm open. The floor is open.
I'll echo what you said earlier, that the format was good, like the trivia was good, and I like the little name tag, like what's your superpower icebreaker. I also thought that was really good. Other than that, I don't think we need to do a lot else. We might be overthinking it, right? Like keeping it simple or fewer things to do, like just a couple focused things. So I have.
I think that's a good point. I will point out that I didn't get there until 6, so I was, or maybe even later. I feel like I was a whole hour late. So maybe I missed something at the beginning, but I think having an event like that and just having it be a downtime for people to just come and celebrate by eating pizza and salad, I think is really nice.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially with it being right after a holiday. I think just being able to come relax, eat some free food, see your neighbors is perfect. Yeah, I think that was all I was going to add. I loved the activity. Props to you. It was really fun. Nice, like, energy boost, too, to get people together and talking. Also, I know we'd been cognizant as we were planning it about making sure that nobody was kind of sitting by themselves or not being engaged with. So I was trying to look around and it seemed like everybody was really involved. But also if you want to just sit and eat, like that's totally fine. So giving people the freedom to do that, I think is good too.
I like the little chart that indicated how long you'd volunteered for the city, because as we pointed out, we already used the data. And it was just interesting to see what people had done over time. So, but it was kudos to everyone, Kim, particularly with the activity and all those involved in planning it. It was a really great event, and I think people appreciate it very much. I know it's important to recognize the efforts of people and to thank them, and so this is something that is well deserved of those volunteers that put in time and effort into the city. And it just shows how also when we have 100 people show up, how people really love Newcastle and really want to make this a better place and a wonderful place to live and a wonderful community. So I would advocate that we continue to do it. And I don't even know if it makes sense to do it more, but thanking those that put in their time and effort is important.
I don't know if being on the dais and now being here, I'm just going to jump in and share with you one challenge I had as a staff member organizing this is that Resonate is limited, and we pretty much came close to that. And so, as I noted earlier, we did limit the invitation list. For example, all of the adult leadership of our scouts were invited, and a couple of Eagle Scouts, but not all of the youth leadership was able to. They decided that the youth leadership was not going to be invited. However, the youth leadership was largely responsible for doing a lot of the activities in Newcastle Days. So, knowing that we're limited at Resonate, I wonder if it's time to open the discussion about creatively thinking about a different venue, maybe potentially even a different time of year where we could be outside and not be limited. I only throw that out there because it was definitely challenging to have to limit the list and then stressful to watch and hope that not all 140 people RSVP'd yes, which is when you want to recognize your volunteers is not a great feeling to have. So we have a lot of volunteers. We can't all house them at Resonate. So just putting that out there for the commission to think about.
Just a quick follow-up question. So what is their cap on the amount of people?
Ironically, it is 140, which is interestingly what we sent out. That is just coincidental that it happened to be the same number. However, 140 capacity is standing room only, is what I was told. That, what we had there was about 90 and there was still room for seating, but I could see how 140 would be standing room only.
I think it's a good point about thinking about the time of year, especially with, Newcastle Days being like the biggest event for volunteers, that maybe something more immediate after that as like, thank you so much for this big thing you did. I know it's not the only thing, but it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, could be a good idea, because then you could have it outside and we could expand to more people, especially I think to your point as well, with at Newcastle Days, there were so many school-aged volunteers that it is kind of a bummer if they haven't felt appreciated for doing that.
One of the things we might think about too would be, do both audiences want to start, as soon as your audience gets so big that you've got 10-year-olds and 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, you may have a hard time targeting your audience in the way that they would like to be targeted. So another way to think about that, if we do have a large contingent of minors who are interested in volunteering, is could we offer a separate activity at a place that's more appropriate given the audience and more likely aligned with what they would want to do, so that they have a good time and feel recognized in a way that they would appreciate. So that would be something to consider too, and then you could expand it to a larger group. Because yeah, we do have a lot of students that support Newcastle Days, and even potentially even it could be more immediate. Maybe it's the day after. Maybe it's a tight, like a Sunday party or something that's a little bit more of a tight turnaround for the appreciation. Because yeah, adults and kids have pretty divergent desires with that. Usually, some areas. We all like food.
I was going to comment that I hope that an event like that is beneficial to the to resonate as well. I hope it isn't just like oh god, here comes Newcastle again. So I would hope that's the case. It seems like, a lot of people said there's a lot of quick movement there. I agree that it might be a good idea to have something additional for some of our youth volunteers, and maybe even consider getting together with the scout leaders and saying, hey, what kinds of ideas do you think your kids are fine the way it is? Or, I know they'll get lots of benefit, or at least some benefit to volunteering, but maybe get some ideas from them about what would be a good thing to do. And the idea of doing it later, but not too much later, I think is a good idea too. The thought crossed my mind of maybe, I don't know what you could do, but maybe something like the weekend after. I know the fact that we had the baseball tournament the following weekend this year was not intentional. It was kind of that's how it worked out, but maybe even do something kind of tied into that. Although I don't know what. I'm thinking hot dogs. Because they're kids.
Yeah, and they could probably rally around that differently.
Yeah.
I just want to speak up and say I'm very supportive of the idea of a volunteer appreciation aimed at our youth volunteers. I would love to encourage and bolster and positively reinforce any youth that are doing volunteer work, and I do not want to like poison the well for them and think that this all goes thankless. It's thankless work. So I would say that like it's more important to me that we thank them than, I mean, I want to be thanked too, but it's more important to me. If I have to give up my thank you, I would rather have the youth, because they're going to show up and volunteer when they're adults. If they have a good experience as kids, like it's going to be part of who they are. And we need more volunteers.
I like the idea of 2 separate events. And I do what you said. I want to encourage kids to keep volunteering. I don't want them to feel discouraged because they don't get any recognition. So I like the idea of 2 events.
Yeah. I also don't want the adults to feel like they're attending a kid event, right? Like, we should recognize the adult volunteers in the same way and, elevate their service in the same way. And truthfully, even if it had to be stand-up, like, I'm even thinking of all the venue spaces we have or whatever, stand-up wouldn't be bad. Like, that event goes so fast, that 2 hours. Like, you do want places for people to be able to put their stuff down or whatever, but really, most people could probably stand to stand for a good portion of it. Or we're standing for a good portion of it. It could be more of a cocktail social style than a formal sit-down dinner, and I think people would be just as happy. So, at any venue.
We may end up being priced out of Resonate, to be honest with you. So be thinking creatively about what we might be able to do if we are priced out of something like Resonate. What else could we do that would be similar?
Any other comments? Cam, anything from you?
No.
Nope.
No, I agree with what was said. I think we don't need to over-engineer it. But I do think having something, the only other thing I think I would say is, I mean, I don't want to dangle a slice of pizza in front of anybody's face, but I also do. I feel like the volunteer recognition isn't used enough as a token of, hey, look what happens when you volunteer. Again, if we talk about volunteers potentially being burned in their lifetime for not being appreciated, I would say that my awareness of volunteering for the city came from seeing pictures of everybody at Resonate and saying, oh, there's the volunteer recognition event. And I was like, you can volunteer for the city? What's that? Where does it happen? That sounds fun. And then I started looking into it. So what are some ways that we can leverage the connections you make and the people and the different types of things that you can do through volunteerism by sharing that event as a thing?
Did we post about this on social media after the fact of like?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything.
No, but it's in the to-do folder for when there's fewer things going on, so that when it does get posted, it doesn't get lost between event notices. But yeah, I have a lot of pictures from that evening.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a great event, as we've all said, so. All right, Kim, anything else? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lee, you are up.
Thank you. 2023 Lights of Newcastle. We are almost ready to go. We have currently have 22 registrants. Thanks to Amy for the data. 22 registrants with 3 only participating, not wishing to be voted or included in voting. Deadline's approaching, as we said, and we have had several last-minute registrants, so we may receive more. For people interested, this could be in your yard. And so we're ready to, judging will begin the 15th, and We currently have 4 judges. We have myself, Ed, Ed's Allison, and Connie, if you're still interested. Shally, you as well. Are you interested in, Christian, are you interested in judging? You don't know, yeah, you don't have to, just
I'll
wanted to
take
check to make sure.
any opportunity to be judgy.
Oh. I'll write your name down. So we've got a good, yeah. We have a good roster of judges, and like I said, we'll be ready to start soon. It'll be fun, and I would encourage people to, even if you're not judging, go out and check out the city for all the lights, especially neighborhoods that aren't your own, and encourage other people to go out and do the same. It'll be fun.
Quick question. So for judging, when is the time window of when that occurs?
The time window is, I want to say the 15th through the 22nd, 15th through the 22nd.
That's correct.
15th through the 21st.
21st, sorry.
Winners will be announced on Friday, the 22nd.
And there's a rubric, so which is,
Yeah, you won't be on your own. Well, I mean, you'll be on your own, but you won't be on your own for just going out and assigning a number. Yeah. So there's some good information. I checked it out yesterday, and
The teacher.
because I've never done it, so it'll be interesting to go around and check it out.
And we'll just get the rubric emailed to us or something?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
get you connected.
and there is a set of top secret special judges.
Yes, I forgot about that. Celebrity judges, top secret judges that are super excited about participating as well.
And we should note too that the community is welcome to participate in the sense that we have what are we calling it? Community People's Choice Award. So if anybody out there sees something that they really like, should they go to the city website or?
Yeah, have people vote.
Yes, there will be a form for the People's Choice voting. So everybody who consented to be on the map, even if they don't want to be part of official judging, are eligible for the People's Choice. And that will go out when the map is released on Friday.
Okay. Commissioner Lee, anything else?
That's all for me. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. The next item is to discuss a recipe of the month idea. So Commissioner Van Atta, back to you.
This was just a, walking, mind-wandering idea that I had. But I was thinking about back in, I like to cook. I know some of you do too. Looking at you, Connie. And one of the things I was thinking about is a lot of my friends and social group, I like to share recipes when I find one that's particularly easy or fun or whatever. And I love seeing people's iterations of it, right? Like I have the King Arthur, now baking company, it was King Arthur Flour at the time. Their 2020 recipe of the year is this like super easy, no knead pizza dough. And it became my pandemic lifesaver because you just made the dough and it can rise for any number of days. So it was really flexible. And it's pizza, so you just use the bits and the baubles when you weren't going to the grocery store very often, bits and baubles out of that to make this pizza. And I have friends that still call it the Van Atta pizza. We're like, we're having the Van Atta pizza. I'm like, it's not mine, it's King Arthur Flour's. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun if Newcastle, like Newcastle cooks, what if we all made the same thing? People rally around food. And I originally thought, we'd just find something, right? And it kind of goes back to, I think years ago we were talking about doing, this might have been during the pandemic, like a community cookbook. And for a million different reasons, that's probably not in the cards. But this could potentially be a way to like solicit recipes. We could even talk with our Chamber of Commerce and see if we have any restaurants or other business, grocery stores, B&E Meats. Who wants to contribute a recipe? And then what if we all made it? And how would it connect to like the Buy Nothing group? So if you have extra ingredients that you could offer, or you have a cast iron pan that somebody else might not have, or whatever for a loan, just a way to kind of connect people, to kind of join over food, and enjoy each other's company. And it's not time bound. I'm always really sensitive of, as someone who's not always available, that sometimes it's nice to be able to participate in things when it's not on this date at this time. So it's something that you just do it when you can during whatever time frame it is. So just a thought.
Any comments?
I love this idea. I'd like to volunteer to offer to figure out wine pairings to go with the food or the recipes. That's a contribution I can make. Also, I think there's a lot of we have a lot of diversity in our community. It'd be really cool if around some of the holidays where people make certain foods, if we shared some of those recipes, if they were willing to, if people were willing to share some of their recipes that they make at certain times of year, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a fun idea. I mean, I don't like to cook, but I like to eat people's food and I like to drink wine. So,
Yeah. Like recipes and stories. I mean, this could really be a way for people to, share why it's meaningful or why they like to make it. And it could be as simple as like, it takes 10 minutes on a Wednesday night after soccer.
that will be my contribution.
Yeah.
Like, here is the fastest way you can make a nutritious meal for four or more people.
Right.
And it does only take a minute to pour a glass of wine, so.
Less than 10 minutes. Yeah, I love it too. I think it's a great idea. Definitely like a community connector, another thing that brings people together. Yeah, I say let's do it.
I love this idea. I actually put it down for the strategic direction as community building, especially with the different cultures and cuisines we have. I thought that would be a good way to tie that in. I actually started a Facebook group, but I never published it like 8 years ago, like What's Cooking Newcastle, to for everyone just in Newcastle to put their recipes or, hey, there's a sale at Safeway on cookies. Go get it. Something like that. So I don't know what platform you were thinking about.
Any of them. I mean, I think that's a great idea of a way to connect. We certainly need something, and sorry, yeah, we need something. We can promote it through the newsletter, hopefully, and use social media. I don't know if there would be any rules about why we couldn't have a group that's not necessarily, like the city doesn't own it. We're just promoting people joining it, and maybe this is the recipe, or, this is the thing that we're doing, and go here to talk all about food. Whatever would work. Thoughts?
So
Anything else?
it's on the commission to flesh the idea out, and if the staff can support it, we will do what we can. As far as finding out legalities, like, can you do a private Facebook group? That would be like with the cookbook, to go through Curtis and ask.
So Kim, do you want to be the champion of this and come up with a proposal
Yeah.
that bring it back to the group the next?
Yeah, I feel like I have some people that might want to try to flesh that out with me, right? All right. Yeah. I don't know that I can commit to that by January, just knowing that like between now and the next meeting is, but we can see what we can do. I might not be the only one that's feeling a little squeezed right now.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Sounds fun.
I agree. And I love the idea of sharing part of your culture and with the community, so that's great. Okay. Next we have Q1 2024 priorities. So Amy, this is your item.
Yes, well, obviously there are things already underway in terms of planning. To mention where the Lunar New Year, which is going to be quite a big event, but that's done in partnership, and also the volunteer fair. So those are two things already on my plate. But surprise, surprise, we actually have to be thinking about summer. So I wanted to get your feedback tonight about summer events, because in Q1, starting in January, I got to start booking this stuff. So I would like to get your opinion on the July fireworks, which are budgeted in our 2024 budget, but there is no date set. So July 4th is on a Thursday. That has been traditional in Newcastle. However, it is very expensive to hold it on July 4th. And our police chief also has concerns about July 4th. So last year it was held on July 1st. This year, some options might be Wednesday, July 3rd or Friday, July 5th. So the commission doesn't set the date. I don't set the date. The city manager sets the date. I'm just curious for the commission's feedback, which would be really appreciated, about should we spend the money and do it on July 4th? Should we try to look at the other two dates of July 3rd, July 5th? Is there another possibility for the fireworks?
So it's my understanding that this year, we held it on a Saturday and it was like the most well-attended ever. So my proposal would be that we continue to hold it on the Saturday nearest to July 4th. It seems to work better for a lot of people, I think, especially people with families. And it sounds like it's easier on the police department and it's easier on the budget. So I don't see any way that doesn't make sense, because we also live in an area where we easily have access to different fireworks shows if it's important to us to see them on the actual 4th of July. And I think if we're gonna hold our own celebration, that doing it on Saturday makes sense. So that's my input.
I agree that Saturday was really good. I think maybe the only thing to call out though is then this year we did it prior to it was like the Saturday before, whereas July 6th is after. I don't know if there's any concern there about doing it after versus before.
Yeah, again, yeah, look, like last year was perfect because like July 1, right? And looking at the calendar now, it's June 29, and you wonder if the will of the people is just like, like putting your lights up or listening to Christmas music too soon. But I do wonder, I'm looking at the 3rd, like I would worry about the 6th, because seeing that it's on a Thursday, people will have Thursday off, people will take Friday off, and then make it a big giant weekend. And so I bet there will be a lot of people that are traveling on the 6th, but I wonder the 3rd might hit some high notes just because most people have the next day off. And so it's a nighttime holiday. It's after work on the 3rd, and then you have the 4th off, which would be kind of the same as it's on a Saturday night and you aren't going anywhere on Sunday.
Remind me again of the timing of the event this year. When did it start? Do you know? Does anybody know?
I think six or seven-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
The
then people-
fireworks were a lot later than that.
Yeah, the fireworks are like 10.
10, okay.
Yeah, 10:15.
My only concern with having it on a work day without a holiday is for setup and people showing up early. I know the Boy Scouts were there at like 3:30, 4 o'clock this year setting it up.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the food trucks would be there early, but that's their business, so.
And if we did have it on a weekday / workday, people are gonna come later than they did. They won't be spending the whole day. Some people won't be spending the whole day there, which is going to impact, I would think would impact our food vendors in a not great way. July 29th sounds odd to me too, or June 29th sounds odd to me. I feel like, I seem to recall that Mercer Island does theirs after, but because they have like their whole, whatever their whole Mercer Island Days thing is, a week after or something like that. And that, I mean, I've gone to those and those are fun because it's fireworks when nobody else is having them, or it was at the time anyway. I'm in favor of having it at a different date to save money and to not, you know, whatever conflict the police has. But a weekday, an actual true weekday, I think could maybe not be the greatest.
I like the Saturday, especially for kids. The 3rd could work, or even Friday night, the 5th. But for setup, you said, I'm fine with July 6th. I would go without a problem. I wouldn't think anything weird. I would love to continue the fireworks after the 4th.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't like them. There's someone else that hates them. That's what's so hard about it.
Yeah.
that's true.
One thing I'd say, if we, whatever date we decide to do, if it is not the 4th of July, word has to get out sooner. I can't believe the number of people whose minds were blown that we weren't having fireworks on the 4th of July, that there was some other date.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was that hard to figure out, but people were befuddled.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of people coming up to me in the booth that night. What, today? Why? Yeah, it's not the 4th. This is
And yet they showed up. So,
exactly.
You know,
I was like, well, you're
so
here.
they did get the message. I personally would vote for doing it on Saturday. I think it's just, the 6th. And I think I agree with Kim and others that having it on the 29th is just, it doesn't feel right. And I think people would just wait, or as Christian pointed out, you go to another show on the date.
I think if you kind of retitle it, and maybe that's just for perception, rather than 4th of July fireworks on the 29th of June, just, you know, summer fireworks or something like that. And again, get the word out.
Deb was rebranding it when she, got in and was able to start doing promotion, fireworks on the lake.
Yeah, that was good, yeah.
It can also just be independent, like our Independence celebration. Doesn't have to be Independence Day celebration, just Independence celebration, fireworks on the lake.
That's why I would maybe not, if we're going to completely uncouple it, not do it the weekend that most people are likely to be taking a long weekend away or out of town. Like, at least in my social group, nobody's around those weekends when there's a Thursday and then, it's a holiday and then the next day it's like a free extra day of vacation, practically, or free long weekend. So
So Kim, what would you vote for?
I would either say the 29th, or I would say the 29th or the 3rd, or like completely uncouple it. Like, how cheap can we get it if we do it in?
Not much, but
What about Newcastle days? It'd be earlier in the night, wouldn't be as late as.
I think that would be
Too
something
much?
we'd have to be looking at for 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the first day of summer?
budget-wise, the city manager is looking for input about whether or not, it's the 4th or something around the 4th. I can certainly share that there is interest in maybe rethinking the entire thing, but I think what he's looking for now is just, what are your thoughts about July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th, July 6th, June 29th? So if there are any other thoughts on that, I'm happy to take note of them and report them.
Why not put it up to public opinion? Not that the 4th is not a choice, don't give them a choice if it's not a choice, but like, it could be this day or this day, it could be, unless there's logistically a reason why like the 3rd couldn't work, you say it's the 29th, the 3rd, or the 6th.
I will put that forth.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, long story short, it sounds like we're in agreement. It's okay to not be on the 4th.
Yeah.
If that was the, answer he wanted.
He's just looking for some input and advice from the commission.
Cool.
Do we have any idea what the price difference is? I mean, is it material?
I do, but I have not looked at that figure recently, so I don't want to throw something out there that's
Okay.
inaccurate.
No worries.
So moving on, the 4 concerts are budgeted, and if the commission does not object or want to rethink the calendar, I was going to go ahead and schedule those as we have in past summers. I believe it starts the last 2 weeks in July and the first 2 weeks in August. We can go ahead and put those on the calendar unless people want to advise something different for the 4 concerts.
My only suggestion was from last year was to try to find a new band to add that plays,
Oh, as far as the bands, yes, that
Yeah.
will be something that you will absolutely have input on. We're just looking to set the calendar at this point. So are we good with the last 2 Wednesdays in July, the first 2 Wednesdays in August?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is just looking at the calendar, if we do 17, 24, 31, 7, we don't mess with the CAC meeting. We miss all of them. If we do it the other way around, the last August 14th is supposed to be a CAC meeting, so neither here nor there.
Okay. I mean, the CAC has typically met on a Tuesday of a concert week in that particular month. Are there thoughts on Kim's?
I feel like as long as I've been on the CAC, we had years where we didn't actually bump into a CAC meeting. And then, yes, like last year, I know we did have to have it on a
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Could have been ones where there was a 5th Wednesday in July.
What were the dates, Amy?
I don't have them in front of me.
Oh.
24th,
31st,
31st, 7th,
7th,
and
and
14th.
14th. Okay.
Thank you.
Do we know when National Night Out is?
Usually it's the first week in August.
The first.
Remind me what day that's on.
Tuesday.
Night?
Tuesday night?
Tuesday
Okay.
night.
Have we always had 4? Or was it 5? It was
There are 4 budgeted. There was one year there was 5 because when the decision about Independence Day fireworks had to be made, it was too early in 2021 to make a determination about whether it was safe for people to get together. So instead, a 5th concert was added.
Okay.
Do we want to decide
It's
the particular dates or is it?
No, it's just getting your input. Ultimately, it'll be up to the city manager to decide when to schedule them.
Okay.
Yeah. But if folks are good with that, I can, if you really want to press that you don't want to interfere with the CAC meeting, we can suggest a different alternative for that fourth concert.
Is there serious concern over that? Okay, we're getting obviously a lot of nods.
All right, that was it in terms of things I need input from the commission on for quarter one. Is there anything that you had for me that is not on my radar that you wanted me to be aware of?
The only thing that I want to bring up is since next year's an anniversary year, are there things we should be doing in quarter one to kick that off, or do we want to just make that part of kind of the summer celebration type activities?
Does anybody remember what month we incorporated?
September the 30th, 1994.
Too bad that wasn't a Saturday. That'd be an awesome day for fireworks.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
They said it's earlier.
Were we expecting to do something that day or to do something extra special for Newcastle Days because it's an anniversary?
That is something the commission is welcome to discuss.
I would think that would probably be easier. Does anybody remember what we did on the last big anniversary? We had the mayors in town, all the past mayors. Or,
As part of Newcastle Days, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I think that for 25, we also tried to do some sort of honor, or honor's really not the right word, but I think some sort of recognition of the fact that it was our 25th every month of the year. And so I just throw that out there if that's something we want to do again. So highlighting a particular part of the community, or maybe highlighting an individual in the community that's been around for many years, or just throwing out ideas.
Idea, 30-year anniversary, we honor somebody from the community that's contributed, like a lot, over their time here. 30 people. It's a real off the top of my head like idea, so no, I don't have details about that.
30 and 30.
Are you thinking all at once or like spread out throughout the year?
Spread out, like make it like a thing every whatever. Divide it into the year, spread it out and announce, this week not week, obviously, but we're honoring so-and-so, and I don't know. We could flesh it out more if we think it's worth doing that, but that's an idea that I had where we would honor people in the community for, all they've done over the last 30 years.
Any other ideas? And how would we go about fleshing that idea out, which I really love. I think that's great.
Does anybody want to have a meeting and maybe, or email and some ideas, to start it off? Do we need a subcommittee?
I'll volunteer some time
Okay.
to do that.
I mean, obviously I will. It's my idea.
Yeah, I'm down to help as well. I think the only thing that I was just reacting to is the idea of every month and just knowing that January is like less than a month away.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
makes me nervous. So I don't know that we could do it every month, but yes, I'm definitely down to start chatting that through.
So you can form a subcommittee of 3 commissioners that can meet at any given time. If you'd like to do correspondence over email, remember, again, you can't hit reply all. It's 3 commissioners at a time. The best way to have all commissioners collaborating is to use the SharePoint system.
So, do you want to be on a subcommittee? Okay.
Yes, please.
So,
And I will
Christine?
start a document in the SharePoint that anyone can feel free to jump in, whether they are on the subcommittee or not, if you have a thought about this. Like list of names, contributions, etc. Yeah. So,
I have no doubt that we can come up with 30 names of people that have had an impact on the community, and they don't necessarily have to be even here currently, right? They could be people that have moved on or whatever, but
Yeah, like Jim Price came to mind right away. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, it could be historical and
yeah.
present.
And then, Amy, is that something that we could publish in the newsletter, for example?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'd be happy to publish it in the newsletter. We also have the website and we have social media, so lots of options to get the information out there.
okay.
For the-
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, for the 25th, we did do the trail, we did a trail of the month. I'll be honest, I don't think we got a great ROI on that. But it was fun, but I would say, since we did that for the 25th, that we might look at, if we were trying to add something else, we just spend some time and think about what else we might add, other than honoring people. It's
Can
just
I
an alternative.
throw out, I know I'm speaking not from the dais, but can I throw out a suggestion? Kim, your micro superhero guy, focusing on different, a picture focusing on different famous landmarks in our community that could be repurposed, once a month, including that and then announcing it later. There are a lot of great things in past volunteer appreciation dinner activities that could be repurposed to just celebrate Newcastle and the people who contribute to it.
Yeah, I don't think everybody knows of all the parks that we have in our city either. So maybe instead of trails like we did the last time, we could do parks.
piggybacking off of Amy's awesome pumpkins in the parks thing, we could hide 30 things in the parks. And there could be a 30 things for the 30th anniversary scavenger hunt. They could be not big, big, I mean dollar amount big things. They can't be tiny because they have to be findable.
And crow-proof.
Is that a problem with pumpkins?
Yeah.
And raccoons, probably, they're both naughty.
Oh yeah, we didn't debrief about the pumpkins.
So the debrief about the pumpkins was in the written report submitted after the canceled meeting. But should you want to know, it was a lot of fun. And we learned that our pumpkins have to be crow-proof, not people-proof, crow-proof. They got to them.
Okay, any other ideas? Anything else, Amy? You're all good? Okay. So any additional public comment? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Okay, so planning calendar. So looking forward, we were originally going to present our strategic plan to the city council in January. And because the council is turning over, things got shuffled a little bit. So the first meeting of the year is going to be electing the new council. That's the main focus, or the new mayor and deputy mayor. So that's the main focus of that. The planning commission is going to be presenting the next meeting. And then we got bumped to, or are bumped to the first meeting in February. So that is February 6th. Thank you. So with that said, we were going to take tonight and work on our basically strategic plan for the year that was going to be presented to the council in January. Nathan is not here, and so the decision that we have to make is, do we want to proceed with the work that we were going to do this evening and then have also January to work on it, or knowing that Nathan's going to be back in January, do we want to delay the work that we were going to do on our strategic plan until January and then have things prepared then to be able to present in February?
I kind of feel like I'm here all night, so I'd rather talk about it now
Okay.
and then have one more month to refine it rather than not talk about it and then start from scratch in January.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'll agree with that, and also I will be excused from the January meeting, so
Okay,
I'd love to do some work on it tonight,
okay.
even if it's not all of the work.
Anybody else have any comments?
I can't stay tonight. It's gotten a little late. But I have all my notes that I can put on SharePoint and leave here with you for tonight.
Okay. Connie?
I'm down to stay. I also will not be at the January
Right,
meeting,
right.
so maybe it's
So-
good to have the split.
Okay. And Allison?
I'm fine working tonight and finishing up in January,
Okay.
because I'm not really going to go to the wedding with Connie.
You could be a wedding crasher. Come on. Right, right. Okay, all right. So it sounds like we have the majority of the people can stay this evening and work on it. So that sounds like a plan. So with that said, let's take a let's take a 5-minute break and then reconvene our meeting off of the DS. And Amy, anything else?
Just that we want to set an end time of no later than 9 o'clock,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
which is the expectation of
Yeah.
commissioners.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
exactly.
And
Okay,
Everything
All
you
right.
need is right there.
with that said, the December 13th community activities meeting is drawn to a close. Thank you.
Just so you know, the recording is still running.
So we will reconvene at 8:28.
Great, cognitive coaching of you. We're hot, aren't we?
We're hot. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So the first thing I wanted to cover was the just changing strategic direction of the group altogether and making it like promoting a healthy community, focusing on health, like environmental health, mental health, physical health, and then like putting the parks and trails under that category to promote like physical health.
So as far as resurrecting Nice, I don't know how that decision was made not to have it happen last year. It has not been re-explored. It just hasn't been something I've had time to do.
I didn't know if that was something that we would put. And then the other thing that I have is I found sensory definition defining things. Which you can show.
Right, where's that?
Up there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Great ideas. Also, you guys are super awesome. Like, you hung out, quiet.
Oh.
Yeah. With each other.
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah.
So your mission is your charter. So you want to be careful not to call it a mission because your charter is your mission and purpose. There's no reason why you can't put like, not a disclaimer, but put a note that just underlying all of this is that we aim to continuously take steps or continuously act to understand and define who, yeah, yeah. I mean, you could just put it as a bullet at the bottom or set, you know, a little star at the bottom, an asterisk at the bottom. But I just wanted to bring you back to your ordinance, which is your mission.
Foundation. And it's gonna be, I like, Amy, I like some of the words that you used. Continually. Understand. And that may evolve over time, right? Exactly. I mean, that's part of foster a connected community.
I'm almost wondering, do we have to name organizations? Because I almost feel like I feel stifled by that. So